EasyIt, easy access for social inclusion training.
Translating content into easy-to-understand language. This is Unit 2, Easy-to-Understand Language, in short E2U, Element 3, Processes. Video lecture, Translating Content into Easy-to-Understand Language. My name is Lucinéa Marcelino from the University of Hildesheim. In this short video lecture, I will talk about the process of translating or adapting content in standard or domain-specific language into easy-to-understand language, focusing on easy language and plain language. I will also examine samples of texts that were translated into easy-to-understand language. In the project EasyIt, we differentiate between creating content from scratch and adapting or translating content into easy-to-understand language, that is, easy language or plain language. The main difference between creating and adapting or translating is whether we have a source text or source material from where we depart to produce content in easy-to-understand language. If we are formulating directly in easy or plain language, we are in the realm of creating content. If we have a source text or source material that we translate or adapt into easy-to-understand language, we are in the field of adapting or translating content. The difference may seem trivial, but the approaches are different in each of these two scenarios. The terms translation and adaptation into easy-to-understand language are synonymous. The difference between the two terms is contextual. In some countries, the term translation is preferred, and in other countries, the term adaptation. At the end, the process that is referred to with both concepts is the same. A text in standard language or domain-specific language is translated or adapted into easy-to-understand language for a specific target group. Some approaches disprefer the term translation in this context, as the content can be changed considerably and the final product is not considered to be faithful to the original. Other approaches, especially from translation studies, apply broader translation concepts that also cover the actions that are usually carried out in easy and plain language translation. They refer to the classical approach of Jacobson, who distinguished interlingual, intralingual, and intersemiotic translation. According to his approach, easy and plain language translation belongs to the realm of intralingual translation. Therefore, this discussion depends on how the term translation is defined. We define translation as overcoming communication barriers. Communication barriers are discussed in the video lecture about the target groups of easy-to-understand language. Easy and plain language are two effective tools to overcome such communication barriers. Definition of translation in functionalistic translation approaches place the function of the text in the target situation and the target groups in the center of their interest. Such approaches are well suited for easy and plain language translation. Translating into easy and plain language requires reduction and addition processes that occur simultaneously. Reduction entails, for example, that the final product in easy-to-understand language does not contain the whole information from the source text in order to keep it manageable for the target groups. Only information that is relevant to the target groups and functional in the target situation is rendered. This means that the translator or adapter has to be able to evaluate and choose the most relevant information from the source text while keeping in mind the context of the final product. Addition processes are multiform. They entail, for example, that information must not be presupposed that is not obvious to the target groups in the target situation. They may not have the same background knowledge or linguistic knowledge and therefore need more information that has to be added in the target text in the form, for example, of exemplifications or explanations. In conclusion, when translating into easy-to-understand language, the following items are especially important for the translator or adapter. Knowledge about the target groups and their communicative needs. Knowledge about the target situation. Training in easy-to-understand language. Domain-specific knowledge about the target text. Soft skills. Knowledge about the target groups and their communicative needs. Based on this information, the translator can first of all decide about the comprehensibility enhanced variety needed. Knowledge about the target situation. The context in which the content in easy-to-understand language will be used is relevant for the translation process. Which function will the final text have in the target situation? Training in easy-to-understand language. Translators should be familiar with the concept of easy-to-understand language to implement it appropriately when translating for a specific target group or target situation. They should also know the standards and rule sets of the easy-to-understand varieties of their specific language. Domain-specific knowledge about the target text. Translators and adapters must be familiar with the text topic. They must also be able to evaluate how much further information they will need on the source text and on the target situation. Soft skills. These are part of the professional behavior of the translators. They are the experts in this communicative scenario, and they have to act accordingly. They must know the communicative needs of the target groups and adapt the content accordingly. They must also keep contact with the customer or contracting authority. Bear in mind that translation into easy language is always an additional service to the original. The translated content is a tool to assist target groups that cannot comprehend the original text. As an example of a text translated into easy-to-understand language, we show you the brochure about German inheritance law made by the Research Center for Easy Language in cooperation with the Ministry of Justice of Lower Saxony in Germany. This example shows how the translation is additional to the original. You can find the original text on the one side of the brochure, and if you start reading from the other side and turn it around, you find the comprehensibility enhanced version in Easy German. This brochure was made according to the rules of the Easy German developed by the Research Center for Easy Language in close collaboration with the Ministry of Justice. The texts were submitted to an inclusive validation process before publication. This video lecture has been prepared by Sergio Hernandez and Christiane Maas from the University of Hildesheim. You can reach us at easit@unihildesheim.de.
The project EASIT has received funding from the European Commission under the Erasmus Plus Strategic Partnerships for Higher Education Programme, Grant Agreement 2018-1 ES01 KA203 05275. The European Commission's support for the production of this publication does not constitute an endorsement of the contents, which reflect the views only of the authors, and the Commission cannot be held responsible for any use which may be made of the information contained therein. This work is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Share Alike 4.0 International License. Partners of the EASIT project: Universitat Autónoma de Barcelona, Università degli Studi di Trieste, Universidade de Vigo, Stiftung Universität Hildesheim, SDI München, Dyslexie-Verbundet, Radio Televizija Slovenija, Zavod RISA. EASIT, Easy Access for Social Inclusion Training.